Whenever I see that an upcoming piece of media is an homage or retelling of a classic story, one of the first things I ask is, why? Not to say things can ever be done differently or better, but literally, why? Does the old property have some flaws that could be addressed, or would it be beneficial in some way for its existence to be reaffirmed? Because if there's not some new spin on it, just watch the old thing. New for new's sake is such a waste, and that is painfully clear at times. But then again, evolution does happen. For example, I recently had the pleasure of seeing Beetlejuice the musical, after it toured in my city, and it was such an absolute blast. Yearning for more, I watched the 1988 movie it's based on the very next morning. And well, I was kind of blown away at just how different the two are, and how much better the musical is. Don't get me wrong, the movie is a fine watch. I enjoyed Tim Burton's classic casually unsettling tone. But man, the musical improves on almost every aspect effortlessly. Each character is given more depth and upgraded. Delia is no longer a generic evil stepmom, but someone who, while pleasantly confused, simply yearns for the family she lost. Adam and Barbara Maitland go through this incredible arc of attaining decisiveness and control over their lives. Or not lives. Lydia evolves from this Burton-esque, creepy for creepy's sake kind of girl to someone in danger of being left behind despite desperately reaching out. And of course, the man himself, Beetlejuice, well, he just gets more time to shine. I mean, Michael Keaton is in the movie for less than 20 minutes. He's also just vaguely a bad dude, while the musical humanizes him and likens him to Lydia, creatively intertwining his gimmick with its theme of invisibility. Beetlejuice the musical, is a great example of a remake done well. It still carries the feel of the original and retains the cast everyone knows so well, but it by no means shies away from changing what's necessary to make a more powerful product. It's a much more affecting piece of art. However, while Beetlejuice takes the source material and improves upon it linearly, that's only one way a remake can operate. Enter Belle. You can tell at a glance that it's not supposed to be Beauty and the Beast, but better. Rather, it takes those core themes and applies them to a completely different context, to great effect. It takes this beloved thing we have a specific relationship with, and uses that held connection to have us re-examine new topics, making them more salient in the process. By examining Beauty and the Beast's commentary on appearance, groupthink, and connection, Hosoda cleverly shifts the discussion towards modern issues, like online anonymity, cyberbullying, and the search for belonging in a digital world. In order to examine how Belle recontextualizes things, it's useful to examine the original context itself. Beauty and the Beast surfaces in the 18th century, the most popular iteration being an edited version by Jean-Marie Le Prince de Beaumont. It is celebrated for the fact that, despite being a fairy tale, its heroine is given much more agency and independence than usual. Rather than a damsel in distress, Beauty is intelligent and as quirky as she is beautiful, if you can call a love of reading quirky. She drives the plot, going to save her father and becoming ensnared by the Beast, in more ways than one. Of course, there's also the stellar film helmed by Jean Cocteau, and Disney changes a few things in its 1991 adaptation, but the core themes are still present, not the least of which being the deceptive nature of appearances. Because Beauty and the Beast, much like society at large, has always been preoccupied with outward appearance. I mean, it's in the name, and it very much espouses the phrase, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. A major theme is the contrast between inner and outer beauty, and how the two are often conflated with one another. The Beast gets cursed in the first place for being repulsed by an old hag, casting her out instead of providing shelter. She does so in order to fix the incongruency between his princely outward appearance and his beastly inward nature. But we see that alignment diverge once again as the story progresses, and it is ultimately the reason why our heroine falls for him. Contrast that against Gaston, with his chiseled jaw and incredibly thick neck, but also horrible and demeaning personality. Yet Gaston is whom Belle's own father thinks she should wed. Belle takes this theme of inner versus outer beauty and parallels it to online identities versus your quote-unquote real self. Hosoda says himself, the film uses its classic inspiration as a way of exploring the dual lives people often live online, starring a shy young girl from a small village who wants to become a world-famous singer instead of a sprawling virtual space known as you. While Suzu is able to find the freedom to truly express herself within the anonymity, a darker side is also reflected through Belle's beast, an entity known as the Dragon, who continually disrupts the peace of you. The dragon's fearsome virtual form serves as a manifestation of the cruelty and toxicity that can emerge when people operate anonymously online. Yet, as Suzu delves deeper into uncovering the dragon's true identity, she is compelled to confront the wounded soul beneath the mask, a journey that mirrors beauty's own transformation. Like a lot of things, there is more than meets the eye. Appearances not only shape our characters' individual journeys, but they also condemn society at large for being too trusting. Research has shown that those considered beautiful are also commonly judged as more trustworthy and kinder, despite not doing anything to earn those indicators. Gaston is able to essentially trick Belle's small town into rallying behind him through his good looks, as well as through fear-mongering tactics scarily similar to what we see today. They're so desperate for a common enemy, as well as intolerant for anyone deemed other, that they readily accept Gaston's call to action regardless of his veracity. Meanwhile, the Beast is surrounded by those that support him, hoping Belle will be the one to break the curse. In many ways, Beauty and the Beast is about Belle breaking out of the potential mold and life she's been cast in, and luckily she ends up with the appliances rather than the unruly mob. Belle extracts this dichotomy of community, how it can both hurt and help, and reflects it back through the lens of online mobs and cyberbullying. Justin plays a perfect Gaston, but note how the weapons of choice are no longer pitchforks and spears, but uncovering your true identity. That the threat of doxing is now likened to murder goes to show just how critical our online personas have become. Losing the avatar of Belle and returning to regular old Suzu is, akin to a sort of death and loss of freedom. But Hosoda makes it clear that the other side of the coin exists as well, the internet as a place of freedom and connection. He explains that, in the film, Suzu is a quiet girl without self-confidence, but her online alter ego, Belle, is the total opposite, and she has an effect on Suzu in real life. She gives her strength to protect people in the real world. So I want to show the internet as not a place to be attacked, but a place to discover yourself and find hope. After all, Justin loses. Suzu's identity does get revealed, but people rally behind both her talent as well as her utter desire to help an estranged little boy. I want to emphasize here that both Beauty's townspeople and the online world of you don't deserve complete damnation. Yes, they both get whipped up into a frenzy, but that reflects base human nature, our tendencies towards tribalism, scapegoating, and reflexive hostility that can be stoked by bad actors. Yet Belle also suggests that, with empathy and a willingness to look beneath the surface, these cycles of cruelty can be broken. That is part of the hope I think Hosoda refers to. In the original Beauty and the Beast's monstrous exterior hides a kind, noble soul that Beauty comes to recognize and love. She comes to realize that unlike her sisters, that exist in Beaumont's La Belle et la Bête, who married only seemingly attractive men, the Beast instead is kind-hearted, intelligent, and shares her values. Also, he can do magic tricks. Disney's Beast is a little, let's say slower to warm up to Belle, but the point remains that he had a heart of gold down deep inside somewhere. And that's the rub. No one had ever given the Beast a chance, and in a sort of self-fulfilling prophecy, he grew more and more isolated and, well, beastly, rather than having that benevolent part of him nurtured. Belle's Beast, or rather the dragon, expertly translates that idea into the digital age, by making the dragon essentially an internet troll. Now, I'm not defending trolls, especially when it escalates to the point of toxicity, harassment, and cyberbullying. But as demonstrated, Hosoda is an optimist, and he's envisioning a world where those who are lashing out due to reasons beyond their control don't get left behind. It's easy to get caught up in the Justins and Gastons of the world, and immediately turn towards execution when faced with a beast. But both Belle and Suzu understand that a lot of the time, if you really want to fix the problem, you have to do the hard thing, and try to love that which is broken. For Suzu, that not only extends towards the dragon, but her very own self. In my opinion, Belle has accomplished something really special. As time passes, the media that are influential to us will fade. I work with children, but rather than Part of Your World and Colors of the Wind, I'm singing a lot more We Don't Talk About Bruno these days. That's why I think this revival of something that was important to me growing up into something that can be important for others growing up is exciting. Ultimately, Belle and Beetlejuice the musical, demonstrate that the magic of storytelling lies not in staying the same, but in evolving. They both show how a fresh perspective can make old stories resonate in new ways. And despite the cynicism, I look forward to seeing the beauty of more creators tackling that beast. After all, seek a little strange and unusual, and who knows what you might find. Thanks for watching! The script for this video was written all the way back in 2021, which shouldn't come as that big of a surprise. It did have a totally different introduction featuring Kanye West of all things, but I think you can understand why I changed that. For more Beauty and the Beast media analysis, the references section in the description is quite robust today. I highly recommend checking them out. Please note that in the video, I sort of mash up the 3 different versions of Beauty and the Beast to make it easier to compare to Belle. Sorry if that was a little confusing. If you like the video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more content. And if you want to support me further, you can donate to my Patreon. Special thanks to Rarku, George Pitter Patter, Red Temptation, You're a Little More, Anime Struck, and Saloon for their support. And of course, if anything I said was wrong, I'm sorry. I must have Sorry, I don't know what that came from. I must have misday. Daylight come and me won't go home. I must have stuttered. Work all night on a drink of rum. Daylight come and me won't go home. Stack banana till the morning come. Daylight come and me won't go home. Me say day, oh. Daylight come and me won't go home. Me say day, oh. Daylight come.